safe, slow style. You saw it even with the anti-mage going for an early Manta style and a Vanguard, not rushing that Battle Fury, which a lot of other teams like to do. Compare that to Duskbin. They had a Faceless Void, went straight for the Mask of Madness, then goes back into a Battle Fury. Very aggressive balls to the wall play style. And in the end, it looks like Duskbin was just able to split push WE a little bit too effectively. Maybe that Battle Fury would have been helpful in that situation. Unfortunately, it was not available because of the way he chose to go. Sometimes that safe, slow, and style can actually be too safe and too slow and not aggressive enough. And teams like Duskbin love to punish that sort of passivity. And here we go with the Queen of Pain and the Windrunner, two very aggressive heroes. This combo is quickly becoming the most common second and third picks of all the matches we've been testing.
It seems every team is willing to give up a big hero if they can get Queen of Pain and Winner. They'll give up an Invoker, they'll give up a Prophet, they'll even give up something like a Chen, as long as they can get those two heroes. And once again, World Elite are going to go with the Anti-Mage, and I don't know if I like the Anti-Mage pick against those two, but it seems to be what the World Elite style is sort of centric around, having a hard carry or some kind of late game hero to build towards and just playing that slow and steady pace. They can still take towers, so it doesn't mean they have to play ultra safe. They can push down towers if they have a strong early game with this Prophet, as well as the Shadow Shaman, which is their third pick as well.
Yeah, the one thing to keep in mind here is this is actually the same lineup we saw them. I didn't see the draft for the last game, but all three of these heroes were on WE's lineup last game. Actually, I'm not positive about the Prophet. I know the Shadow Shaman and the Anti-Mage were. And I'm not sure how this fits in. I mean, the Anti-Mage, very farm-dependent hero. He takes a while to get going. He's also, when you're up against Queen of Pain and Windrunner, Anti-Mage does not offer you any lockdown. Of course, he does hit very hard. If those heroes are low, the Mana Void will be able to clean them up. And hey, they are intelligence heroes. But he doesn't have the best laning phase. And here's a carry who has a fantastic laning phase in the Morphling. Another mobile hero. This is really right in Duskbin's wheelhouse. I'm honestly a little surprised that WE has given them all three of these heroes. It doesn't seem to me like they've done a whole lot of scouting on Duskbin, because if you've ever watched Duskbin play, they love to play heroes like this, mobile, aggressive gankers with a lot of burst damage. These kinds of heroes are not only effective offensively, but so hard to kill off. With all three of their farmers picked up this early, expect to see them go for 2 hard supports in the second phase of the draft, and if WE Smart will be banning those out. One thing that Duskbin is a little bit lacking in here is team fight. I would like to see maybe a Tidehunter or an Earthshaker, some sort of reliable AoE stun to work with in the mid game. And ideally the Earthshaker, because of his defensive power, but he may get banned out or snapped up.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Earthshaker made it through here, unless World Elite were planning on using it for their own lineup. I think Duskbin, they really love having a hard carry of theirs. I mean, last game they had the Faceless Void. In the past, they've used Morphling very effectively, and they like to have those hard carries to work around. So it is going to be Morphling, probably going to be in the hands of their hard carry player, which is now Blah Blah, as Mr. Swish, who's now moved over to Maneski, used to play that hard carry role most of the time. So we'll see what they want to do with that, what kind of supports they're going to get. The CM, another popular candidate, they could go for that CM Morphling dual lane at mid. That's something that could absolutely demolish a solo Shadow Shaman, and that's sort of when it first became popular. The dual lane Morphling at mid was against all those Shadow Shaman when Shadow Shaman was such a popular solo mid hero, and it was something that could really punish that in a dual lane. But I mean, they probably do want to consider just putting it in the safe lane, although Queen of Pain is a hero who can go in the safe lane if they want to dual lane the Morphling at mid.
Yeah, I actually just realized my microphone was up that whole time. So quick recap, I basically said Duskbin, these are signature heroes for them, a lot of mobile gankers, very bursty style heroes. Very hard to kill off heroes, but they have a lot of offensive firepower. I guess for WE, the question is, are they going to solo that Shadow Shaman? And last game, it looked to be a support Shadow Shaman. It was very underfarmed if it was a solo. I mean, almost to the point of just, I didn't look at the scoreboard, but either he was feeding or he was support. We could see a dual lane with the Anti-Mage. It probably wouldn't be a Shadow Shaman babysitting him. Of course, Crystal Maiden, Ancient Apparition, a couple of other babysitters are still sitting around in the pool, so they could do that dual lane Anti-Mage mid if they wanted to. I think it's gonna be tough for an Anti-Mage though to handle a Morphling early game. Anti-Mage is a pretty decent counter to Morphling as the mid game approaches. The Mana Burn very strong against Morphling because he has 4 active abilities, very reliant on his spells in order to do damage, stay alive, and generally be the mobile threat that he needs to be. But in the early laning stages, Anti-Mage just cannot tank up that nuke damage. At best, he'll be able to survive. He's not going to farm well. And you mentioned Shadow Shaman really phasing out of the metagame as a solo mid thanks to those dual lane mids. Actually, Sing Sing has been complaining about that here and there on his stream. And I believe even on the GD Studio, he made a few comments about how he hated the dual lane mid trend because it really makes it difficult for players who prefer to solo like himself. But hey, that is the metagame, and if you're a player who likes to be aggressive with Shadow Shaping, it's a very squishy hero. It's much better suited for a 1v1, not very strong in the 1v2 situation. Whereas if you look at Duskbin, they can handle 1v2s. All three of these heroes are decent at it. Morphling not quite as strong, but still okay in that situation, not likely to die anyway. Benj is the pick. A pretty aggressive lineup here aside from the anti-mage, and I expect to see some sort of a 4+1 style play from WE here. Sorry I've been monopolizing the mic forever, but that is what I'm looking forward to for WE. And if you're Duskbin, try and punish that anti-mage, or ideally catch the 4 before they can start grouping up.
Yeah, no, and this Sanking pick is something, it's going to be played as support, I imagine, unless they're running Winra as support, but it's one of those things which can really set up the fights, especially if it does get some early farm here. I imagine it'll be in the secondary support spot. They'll want to get a hard support now with this last pick. Crystal Main is still in the pool, and if Sanking can get at least a little bit of farm, some kills and towers as well going his way, and then maybe he can get a reasonable time on that Blink Dagger, that will be key. For setting up kills, especially on some of these squishier heroes like the AA, the VS, as well as the Shadow Shaman. Lion is going to be the last pick, so once again, they use this last game as a support option, and they seem to really like it. And against an Anti-Mage, you have the additional disables. I mean, it is fairly squishy if Anti-Mage does get up the Manta style, the BKB, but for shutting him down, before he gets up any big items, I mean, Lion is pretty effective in doing so.
Yeah, they did run the Lion last game as well, so a lot of the same heroes showing up in this game, and hey, that Hex, such a great way to initiate, especially against Anti-Mage, because Hex has no cast time, one of the most reliable, in fact, probably the most reliable way in the game, to make sure that you can lock down a hero who's got that maneuverability. Duskbin does have some strong global presence here, though, because they picked up the Ancient Apparition, as well as the Prophet. Of course, Aeon can move around the map pretty well. They have, essentially, I look at them as sort of being like a siege cannon lineup. They've got really long reach around the map, and that means... Yeah, thank you, Atri. Actually, we did catch that. But yeah, if you look at Duskbin, what they have going for them, of course, is that burst damage. So much stun, so much disable, and just a lot of nukes to work with, and it fits right into their playstyle. All that aggressive early game.
Yeah, it really does. Being aggressive as aggressive as possible, just prevent that hard carry from farming, and we will see early Poor Man's Shield on Anti-Mage. Will get pulled some tangos by the Vengeful Spirit. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. We will, I guess, introduce the two teams. Over on the Radiant side is the World Elite team. We've got FNTY, Fanti playing the Anti-Mage. We've got Chan playing the solo mid Ancient Apparition. Luo, the captain on the Shadow Shaman, is playing as a support in the bottom lane. We've got GG on the Vengeful Spirit. And then finally, looks to be heading towards that top lane as a Suicide Soul is going to be the Prophet. And I'll leave you to introduce our guys who, I don't know, we can't really say they're from Philippines anymore.
Well, it's a good thing that it's happening now, but your mic is having a little bit of an issue. I'm going to call you right back. Okay, so over on the Dire squad, we will see Ninja Boogie. It looks like he's up in that safe lane by himself for now, handling that Morph lane. He is generally playing the hard carry role here. I mean, you mentioned Blah Blah, but Ninja Boogie's certainly a player who's done it before. He has some experience on those farming heroes in general. And Morphling, as far as hard carries go, is quite an aggressive one. So I think it still fits in with Ninja Boogie's playstyle. It is going to be Blah Blah going mid. He's not rushing a bottle. It's going to work out okay because A, doesn't have one, but generally that is the more common play for the Creed of Pain. Maybe anticipating a difficult lane, especially against Shadow Shaman. It can be very difficult to last hit early on, and maybe he's anticipating a Shadow Shaman then. It's going to be Haichiko on that line, Lei on that Sand King, and then Arjun playing that Windrunner. It looks like Windrunner will be getting the farm down here. Pole Camp is warded off.
Yeah, and we are going to see some ward placement down the bottom. They do need to be carefully. Early smoke coming out from Shadow Shaman and Vengeful Spirit. Oh, they're going to avoid the line for now. They go past the Observer as well. Line running. Is he going to run up? No, they're going to swing around towards mid. It looks like they don't really care about the line. That Sanking is there. Sanking does have that haste ring, so they're going to try to focus their efforts. They're going to counter-gate this at mid, and this could go very badly for Duskbin early on here.
Oh, this could be a disastrous start for Duskbin. What unfortunate timing. Burrow strike in on Chan to initiate. So actually, nice job for Haichiko holding on to that Impale, but he's still going to go down from the looks of it. Lion just so squishy, so slow. One base armor, that low HP pull costing him. And frankly, that was just a bit of luck there. WE in the right place at the right time. They did actually have a ward, but I don't think they saw the smoke, as they otherwise would have likely intercepted there. So WE more getting lucky than anything else. Still, gotta give them credit because they were able to pick up that first blood.
I think WE were the ones who actually smoked. They saw the two heroes pick up the haste and walk past the observer ward. I mean, I think WE knew exactly what was going on there.
Oh, did they?
Okay. It was unlucky for Duskbin to have those two heroes. I mean, I don't know about unlucky, but for World Elite, they knew exactly what was going on. They saw those two heroes walk right past their own observer ward. And World Elite just,
you're right. Them. I'm sorry. I'm getting the teams mixed up here. But anyway, it looks like on the bottom lane, a little bit of harassment going on to Anti-Mage. This is still going to be a tough lane for him. They have a lot of disable. Of course, Lion needs some levels, Sandkin needs some levels, so if they don't get a good start here, it's going to be difficult for them. It is a support Shadow Shaman. The pull can't being boarded off means we're not going to see any pulling shenanigans early on. In terms of the two dual lanes, I want to say they're pretty even. Ancient Apparition doing a really nice job here of controlling the high ground. Really shutting down the Queen of Pain's ability to harass, and of course, doing a decent job of lasting himself. Actually, a really good job, up to 8 and 4. Outlaning a Queen of Pain, something difficult to do, but A is one of the heroes that can do it because he has a great attack animation, a decent base damage, and a really powerful spammable nuke to work with.
Yeah, no, with that spammable nuke, it just makes laning there a lot easier. And they're going to get an early D-ward at this bottom lane, get rid of that lane observer ward with the sentry. And that's going to help them out a bit here. Going to limit VS and Shadow Shaman their ability to come out and just really position themselves well, knowing where those nukes are going to come from and get the first strike before Lion can drop a disable. Sandkin going to smoke on his own, so Duskbin really wanting to look to get some ganks going early. Sandkin wondering where he's going to head. He's only level 2. He may head all the way top and go for a kill on this Prophet. Prophet, who is taking a lot of damage from Morphling. Prophet could be in a bit of trouble here. May have to TP out. There's another waveform, and Prophet is going to go down here. 1 or 2 more right clicks. There's enough damage. Morphling gets the kill. That's a solo kill as well.
That should not happen. That simply should not happen. And Prophet even blocking himself with a treant there. That was extremely unfortunate for him. Not sure if he just lost control of his mouse for a second there, or just had a little bit of bad luck, but you absolutely cannot afford to be feeding Morphling, especially a Morphling without support. Generally, Morphling requires a lane mate, and he's not really the best hero 1v1. Against a hero like Prophet, who's got that long-range attack, the high base damage, the good animation, I mean, Prophet should at least be able to outlast hit him. And he actually was doing that job to start off with, 9 and 2. Morphling only hitting 9 and 2 after that kill. He was behind on farm before it. But I like this rotation the Duskbin has made. They went for this. I'm assuming it was a smoke gank because they did pop the smoke. The gank itself didn't work out. They didn't need it though. And now they're going to have the Sand King having the opportunity to, even if he doesn't set up a kill here, getting some pulls going, getting some levels for him. And frankly, I think that makes a lot more sense than running the tri-lane with a Lion and a Sand King. Just too level dependent to be up against in the suicide lane and not getting kills.
Or Sand King's one of those heroes you really want levels as well as farm on. That's why, I mean, often you'll see him played as a solo, because he can benefit so much from that. As long as he doesn't have too tough a lane, he's now just sort of camped around at top lane. I mean, if they can get a kill here, it's worth it, but it's not that easy to get a kill. Prophet can just instantly TP out. The wave is going to land. He wants to wait as long as possible for this stun. He's going to do so, but he does get out of range. Oh, but they're still chasing. And this is going to be... There we go. He can TP out. Now gets the vision. There will be another waveform. I think that was okay, but ultimately he probably wanted to stun a bit sooner. There was probably enough damage that Prophet couldn't have TP'd out, even with the stun being used.
Yeah, the Prophet already 2 deaths going his way. Ninja Boogie claiming both of those. In spite of really not getting much farm, he's got the bottle up. Expect to see a fair amount of bottle crowing. Duskbin definitely has been known to do that before. Looks like Anti-Mage is having a decent time down here towards the bottom lane. He's 14 and 2, not the best farm, but certainly decent. So, Vengeful Spirit, so much trouble for her, but she is able to escape, narrowly dodging that power shot. This is definitely a tough lane for the Anti-Mage, so you really can't afford to give away too many kills to this Morphling, because he's got an easier time, and especially after those kills on the Prophet. Expect to see the good times continue for the Morphling.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 kills, both going to Morphling at top lane. 16 CS only to Anti-Mage, or Anti-Mage actually also in 16 creep kills, so they're pretty much going even in terms of farm, but that kill for the 2 kills for the Morphling going to help him out immensely at top lane. He's gone for the early... I like this early bottle pickup. I'm a bit tired of seeing Morphlings rush the Perseverance. It's 1800 gold just to get some HP mana regen, which you can get from a 600 gold bottle. Sure, you use it up, but chances are you can get a replicate, go back to base, and then TP or replicate right back in. So bottle really does, I don't know, it synergizes well with Morphling and is a lot cheaper, and then you can get up that next item. Maybe go straight for the Ethereal Blade if you want to, a lot quicker.
Yeah, there's also some cute little things you can do as far as interactions with Morph as well as the bottle. Yeah. What you can do is Morph to a really low base HP pool and then pop your bottle charges. You'll get a lot more out of them, similarly to a healing salve. Another great thing you can do on the bottom lane though, Shackle Shot onto 2. Looks like Lion is going to go down. He's the first to go. Arshan is forced to wind run out. Prophet tired of feeding up top. He's just going to rotate bottom. And definitely a worthwhile gank. They get a much-needed kill for the anti-mage, so he's starting to match up better in terms of that farm with the Morphling. But with that Prophet abandoning top, it is absolute free farm here for the Morphling. And Sand King can leave the lane. Whereas for the moment, WE is still going to have to leave someone down here to help deal with that Lion Windrunner combination. Still Lion, no boots, and an under-farmed, under-leveled Lion is just... It's as bad as a Crystal Maiden, except his nukes have lower range, and he needs the levels more badly. It's why you often, when you see Lion, and when you used to see him a lot in the Chinese scene, he'd often be seen going solo mid, or if he's on the safe lane, something like that, he'd jungle with an allied hero, whether it's a Chen and Enchantress, or even a Broodmother Spider lanes. But without those quick levels, without the quick boots, he is just a walking delicious meal here for the WE lineup.
And he is playing that hard support role, so he's not going to have any boots or anything, like he's just mentioned, for a long, long time. And that's going to really hurt him a lot. I mean, he's only just reached level 4. He's under-leveled. Winner as well can't really be backed up that well by a line. It's not like an ES, where ES, whether you're level 1 or level 5, you've got pretty much the same defensive capabilities. Just a slight difference in the actual damage that your Fissure does, as well as... I think the stun duration goes up a little bit, but ultimately... It's not a hero. It's a hero that needs levels quite badly to be effective, this Lion. Yeah,
you're exactly right. And it looks like what we're seeing right now is pretty much just farm being evenly traded. Duskbin, 3 core farmers on their lineup. The Lion and the Sand King getting absolutely no farm. Huge dive on the Prophet, who's returned to his lane and may live to regret it. I'm almost certainly going to go down here. Ninja Boogie wisely holding onto that waveform. And oh, sorry, he already used it once. He's going to use it again. The kill on the Prophet. Look how far they are diving. And
yeah.
Even though Sand King is not getting any sort of farm, he's really helping out the Morphling. That being said, he's going to have to be careful here. Wow, what a juke by Lei. Actually, the tower just cancels this out and spots him. That would have been so much better if the tower hadn't seen him. Unfortunately, it did, and that last magic missile will collect the kill.
Yeah,
almost a victory.
I think Dota 1, you can actually fog that tower using that area there, but Dota 2, the tower will reach you and will scout you out.
Yeah, right in the spot
he
here.
did. He could have just stayed out of range and used that full salve there and would have been okay, but he did. I mean, it's a small mistake and it's not going to matter too much ultimately. But Morphling getting another kill, TP'd home, and is now coming back to this top lane with a Ring of Aqua and a Magic Wand. Just going for some early game items here. I don't mind this. I can start heading towards maybe getting that Ghost Scepter and getting up the Ethereal Blade as fast as possible. Just waves right in on VS, and VS already ticking down to half HP. Morphling may commit to this kill. VS has no mana for a stun. Morphling going to get his 4th kill of the game, it looks like, unless VS can do some crazy juking, and Morphling not even going to use a wave here. Oh, there we go. Gets a wave and just farms away at this creep wave now.
Ninja Boogie is on a tear right now. He is just crushing that top lane. Nobody can stand against him. Frankly, I think they need to think about sending the anti-mage up there. As he's the only hero who seems likely not to die. As I say that, AI with a haster, trying to chase down the Morphling. Ninja Boogie has a little bit of Morph left in him, as well as a few bottle charges, so he will be okay. The AL was already used. Lei continues to harass Icy in his own jungle. Very under-leveled Sand King here, only level 4, 9 minutes into the game. Shadow Shaman very under-leveled. A lot of heroes who just are not getting the farm or the levels early game, and they're here all heroes that need it pretty much. Prophet ult will be bouncing back onto Lei soon, or maybe not, I guess. Didn't have the vision there. The ult actually not hitting him. Or if it hit him, it was right away, and I just missed it. Arjun joining the fight as well, but shackled up. He's not going to pop that Windrun. Almost out of mana, and he goes down. Lei hitting too, but I think he'll be the next to follow. In fact, the Lei's going to be okay for now. They're going to go into that Lion, and just look how easily picked off he is. Completely, just walking free kill. There's nothing he can do to survive here.
Yeah.
And Ninja Boogie going to collect another up top. He will die this time, and that's a big kill streak to give away.
It is, but I don't mind. I think it's still okay. It wasn't it wasn't a bad trade from it. It wasn't one that it's not going to matter too much. Ultimately, killing the Ancient Apparition, that's a solo Ancient Apparition who's level 8, is actually not that bad for him, especially since he got the XP for it first.
Yeah. So after so much action, gold graph very even, XP graph extremely even. But the crucial thing to note here is that the Morphling, although he's really the creep score, frankly, is pretty awful. But the kill score more than makes up for it. That is 1,000 gold. That's quite a few creeps, even though he's only averaging about a little over 3 a minute, about 3.5 a minute. Anti-Mage a little bit better in terms of the creeps. He's got a poor man's shield, power tricks, as well as Ring of Health. This might be an indication he wants to go Battlefield this time, although he did go Vanguard last game. Initiation onto the Anti-Mage. He blinks out, immediately TP's, terrified of that Queen of Fate ultimate from the looks of it, and he will get away. Still, his farm is being slowed down for the moment. Duskbin 4 heroes on that bottom side of the map. So they're starting to run a similar type of strat here in terms of the 4+1. But as I say, that Sand King rotates back toward the mid. Shadow Shaman desperately trying to catch up here in terms of the levels. He's still not at level 6, and they need him to hit it soon. They got to start applying pressure with the Prophet and the Shadow Shaman. It's not enough just to trade kills, because I think in the mid game here, Duskbin just has too much burst damage, and you know, you don't have that Shadow Shaman getting quick farm. You don't have a Vengeful Spirit with fast levels. It's just an anti-mage who's doing well right now for your team. So I think they need to get some towers to help equalize things. In order to do that, need that Shadow Shaman ult, need the Prophet to stop dying.
Yeah, and mid-game is where heroes like Queen of Pain and Winner will absolutely dominate. They dodge that Ancient Apparition ultimate. This is a powerful combo, though. The AA ultimate with the Prophet ultimate. That's just such great global AoE damage and global presence. I mean, anywhere that Duskbin go to push, they can get instantly taken down to below half HP with those two, especially some of these squishier heroes like the Lion. And then all it will take is an anti-mage to blink in and clean up. So they do have to be very careful when they go to push. They can't sort of group up and be too aggressive.
Yeah, it's fantastic anti-push. It's also really great global ganking presence, so it's a double-edged sword for them. Not a double-edged sword, but a two-pronged advantage to having those heroes on the team. Still, they haven't really taken advantage of it yet. As I say that, it looks like they are about to. Lei goes down the middle lane. Hachiko may be next to follow. No Finger of Death, or this would be a free kill. Wait for mid, but the mechanism already picked up on this Ancient version. Very fast mecha. Still, unfortunately, it was not enough. Shadow Shaman goes down, further delaying that level 6 ult. Looks like Windrunner may be in some trouble here. Vengeful Spirit ushering her away, but no swap up. She should be okay. Anti-Mage doing his best to farm during this time. And Ninja Boogie, does he have anything on the courier? Yeah, the Power Tread's complete. 500 gold in the bank. You mentioned a Ghost Scepter, which would obviously be the first step towards an Ethereal Blade as a possible choice. He's not really getting the farm to go for a Lincoln Sphere, nor do you want to get into a farm war with an anti-mage unless you're having a lead, and right now it doesn't look like he is.
I think Lincoln here would be a big mistake. It doesn't have to go for the Ethereal Blade. You can go straight for some damage. I mean, even straight Scardy every now and then is seen. Straight Scardy, BKB, something just to help him out with an early to mid-game presence, just so they can be very aggressive in the mid-game. He doesn't have to do massive late-game carrying if he can help out his team in the mid-game. Even just, yeah, straight BKB I think would be alright here. But Ethereal Blade ultimately could help get some free kills on those squishier heroes like the Shadow Shaman, like the Vengeful Spirit. And just going for that fast Ghost Scepter gives +7 to all stats. It's kind of, I mean, in some ways it's similar to it. It's like a cheaper, sort of less effective version of an ultimate orb. It just gives decent overall stats, so it's not that bad as an early game item.
Right, it's very much like a Drums as well, but it comes with a little bit more utility, and of course it turns into a fantastic item for Morphling. Prophet tried to TP out, Quap ult will clean him up. That was cutting it really close, but they do get the kill. Lau hiding in the trees here, looking to set up on the Morphling. Ninja Boogie is already getting pretty difficult to take down, although as I say that, he's more very heavily to agility. This is a bold, aggressive build, and he may pay for it. A single shackle or a single hex to start could be the end of him, as you can't start morphing once you're disabled. Middle tower being pressured by Duskbin. Looks like there's no return push coming from WE. They're trying to get something going. Ninja Boogie is going to go down top. Finger of Death onto the Shadow Shaman. The mechanism keeping up the Lion, or keeping the Shadow Shaman alive. And look at Lion, still no boots. 14 minutes into the game. Oh my goodness. That's not how you want to be. If you play Lion, you want to be getting a fast Blink Dagger, fast Arcane Boots, maybe Bracer, Phase Boots, something to help you maneuver around, stay alive, and contribute. This Lion uses 2 disables, and then he just dies.
Yeah, and World Elite going to get a tower to follow it up, so they're converting these hero kills into tower kills, as well as providing lots of space for Anti-Mage to farm. And Anti-Mage, Ring of Health with a Claymore now. He's gone for the early treads, but still wants that Battle Fury up as quickly as possible. And I say this game is looking a lot better for World Elite. They are off to a good start here. Despite this Morphling having a nice game, he's got those kills, but he hasn't had amazing farm. Neither has Anti-Mage, but Anti-Mage is one of those shooters that once he takes off, he will take off very quickly. Morphling, going for that BKB is not going to be as scary as an Anti-Mage in a late game scenario.
Yeah, but if you're Duskbin, you definitely have the potential to either, if it goes late, to put WE so far behind they can't come back, or to just, you know, sort of catch up in the mid game, get down some early towers, and you know, use that kill advantage. They don't have one now, but I think the real problem for them right now is their best, most reliable initiation is either the Shackle Shot, which just hasn't been there. Windrunner's been off on her own farming. The Burrow Strike isn't that great at this point. I mean, if you look at Duskbin, what are you going to do? You can't walk up to a Shadow Shaman because he's just going to hex you. Venge can stun you with the Magic Missile. Prophet, of course, he's generally going to show up after the fight begins. Anti-Mage can blink away. And so this is where a Sand Key without a Blink Dagger is not as effective. Lion is their most reliable initiation, but I mean, how can you initiate without boots? 0-5 already, and I think he just needs to get some farm. But even though he died again, he goes for Observer Wards and Sentries. I hate this decision. Frankly, I'd much rather see the Windrunner with 700 gold, the Queen of Pain, who's got 700 to her name, going for it. Sure, it slows down their big items as we see. Sean looks like he will go down to an epicenter here. But I just think to delay the boost this much, it's ridiculous, because it's going to come back to bite the team later on and lay in a lot of trouble. Looks like he will be going down. A lot of burst damage onto him. And the Hand of Midas is picked up on Icy as well. So that's going to accelerate his farm. And in a farm war, it's definitely WE who win. It's not just the Anti-Mage with the Battle Fury, of course. It's the Prophet with the Midas as well.
No, those two heroes going to the late game are just going to completely tear apart this Dire team. I mean, sure, they have some other heroes who can contribute with Windrunner as well as Queen of Pain, but neither of them... Well, Queen of Pain's doing well, 72 CS, Ultimate Orb as well as 1200 gold, but Windrunner slowly inching towards that mech, probably something flying out now. Just the Buckler is finished there, so Windrunner at 16 minutes, still no mech, a bit slow, but is having a tough time against this anti-mage in bottom lane.
Yeah, he just continues to farm. He's got the Perseverance if he wants to go for that. Might seem safe for the Broadsword. A lot of players prefer to get the more expensive component first. And that way you just have a little bit less to farm, and if you end up dying in the interim, it's not as hard to get that larger amount of gold up. But it doesn't really seem to be an issue here for Roxy, or for Finity, excuse me. He seems to be left alone completely. And leaving an anti-mage alone, very dangerous. I mean, Duskbin does like to play this way. Sure, they pick up a hard carry, but they always have sort of a backup plan, and Windrunner as well as Queen of Pain give you that backup. So yeah, they're giving away a lot of farm to anti-mage, but with that Triumvirate, especially if they get up the Hex on the Queen of Pain, say by the 25-minute mark, they could still lock him down. He's not that tanky. He's got to get, like, normally 2 items after the Battle Fury before he's truly a tank. At least a Max Style on the Vitality Booster, or a BKB Rush. Now, a BKB would be really strong against Duskbin, so if he goes straight for that after Battle Fury, that could be a pretty fierce society. They just have no answer for it.
Oh, no, I agree. They just couldn't take him on and that wouldn't even take him that long to farm. You could get that up in a pretty quick time, and then suddenly there's just nothing they can do to hurt him. We'll see. The alternative is just going for the pure HP, getting an item like a heart. Sure, they can still nuke him down to save him, but if he's got enough HP with the spell shield, he should be pretty hard to kill anyways.
Another thing looking positive for WE is the Shadow Shaman. Even though they ran it as a support, I love the way they're giving him this farm. They did the same thing last game. I did get a quick glimpse at it. Shadow Shaman, he is the 4 position here on the team, but still look at him. 27 CS. Compare that to the Sandcade, only 14 on the Sandcade 1 and 3. The Shadow Shaman having a decent time here, 2, 2, and 5. The tower advantage is there. Actually, there is no tower advantage for them, so forget that point. But yeah, I mean, Shadow Shaman getting some farm, as I say that, he goes down top. That will delay the blink. Still, I like the strategy here, because the Shadow Shaman with the blink, I mean, that is, like, if you're up against those mobile heroes, what better way to lock them down than to blink Hex off the bat? It's something you'd love to see Lion doing, but obviously, he's just happy to have his boots 18 minutes in the game.
Yeah, have to agree there. He's had a very tough time. Starting out bottom lane in a trial lane versus the anti-mage trial lane where it was just getting under-leveled. Sand King sort of wandered off, but even then, he was in even more trouble because he didn't have the Sand King to keep him alive, though. But Duskbin, they're going to get this T1 tower, and with that, Morphling inching closer to his BKB, only about 500 gold away from it now. As we will see Duskbin, they look to want to pressure on, and currently there's no World Elite heroes defending this top tier 2 tower. VS is about to reach their Dire team, though. They have a ward behind this tower. They've got great map vision around this top lane. Right? I see 3 observer wards lurking around, and it looks like AA Ultimate gonna not hit. Hits Lion, the poor squishy Lion. He's not down as of yet. And Prophet TP could finish the deal, but it looks like there is not going to be any follow-up damage.
Well, you said you were basically asking where's the defense, but the truth is, like we've been discussing before, the defense can come from anywhere. But as I say that, oh, what a swap away by Benj there, just in time, dodging the power shot. Still, it looks like Benj will pay for that. Going down again, nice sprout by the Prophet, holding the Sand King in place for the moment. Fight really all over the place right now. And in this kind of situation, it definitely favors Duskbin. A lot of chasing here. Looks like Chan will go down a decent hero block by Blah Blah. Indeed, he will go down. Morphling is going to clean him up. Anti-Mage joined the fight. I think the Battle Fury is about to be delivered. In fact, the courier was delivering at bottom, but he TP'd top. So it comes to meet him there. The Battle Fury picked up, but instead of using it to farm for the last 30 seconds or so, he was trying to help his team and did not accomplish anything there. A nice engagement for Duskbin. I would love to see more of that from them. And hey, what better way to do it than setting up these aggressive wards? Not only do they have the ward up here on the hill in between the tier 2 towers on mid and top. They also placed one in the jungle. And against an anti-mage with a Battlefield and a Prophet, you know they're going to be visiting that camp quite a few times.
Well, I mean, that fight, I mean, Duskbin, it was for one, they had the great map control. They could see everything going on. They knew what was coming in. They didn't know the AA ultimate with the Prophet ultimate were coming in, but they had the mech. They didn't actually go down to it. There was no follow-up damage to get any kills. So they backed off, they mech'd up, and then they re-engaged. And with that scrappy teamfight that was all over the place, heroes like Queen of Pain, Morphling just got kill after kill, cleaning up. Morphling now level 14. So important. I mean, he's got the levels, and that's going to help him out. Even though he isn't quite as farmed as Anti-Mage, having that level advantage does count for something.
Yeah, and with that level advantage, he's just a little bit tankier. With the BKB pickup, they don't really have a way to lock him down either. I mean, sure, he's not quite as intimidating as an Anti-Mage in terms of the raw damage output. Not the way he's chosen to build his hero. But it's enough. It's enough to finish off heroes, especially with all the burst damage to start off, as well as the initiation of the line, of the Sand Cane. And hey, that line, 700 gold in the bank. Maybe just going to pick up a Bracer. Perhaps he'll be bold and go for some Arcane Boots or Phase Boots here. The world is his oyster. Icy, an aggressive TP and Sprout to start. 2-hero Burrow Strike. Lion drops the ult immediately. What a Quaff ult coming through. There is no Morphling in the fight, but he's frantically trying to get here at times. And a pretty awful swap, to say the least, on the bench. She might get one kill, but Ninja Boogie joins the fray. He has not even popped the BKB yet. 4 heroes down for WE, and that is exactly why they picked these heroes. To dominate fights around the 20 to 35 minute mark, like they just started. What a start for them as the mid game, or as we enter this period in the mid game. And with that, those 4 kills, looking to push down this tier 2 mid.
Yeah, I got to say, a lot of people probably did not expect Duskbin to do this well against one of the top Chinese teams. They're going to see Ancient Apparition found by a Shadow Strike. Lion is looking for a disable. Those boots are chugging away. He's trying to catch up. He's not going to get the Impale, as AA does run in the smart direction as southwards as possible. But still, tier 2 mid tower goes down. Ninja Boogie getting the gold for that one. And with this BKB, he can now start building towards some kind of DPS item, depending whether he wants to go for the right-click DPS or the nuking DPS of an Ethereal Blade. We'll have to wait and see. But bottom tier 2 tower, another tower. Duskbin just applying pressure all over the map. And those 2 team fights in a row, just getting them a lot of gold, towers as well as heroes.
Yeah, it's not just about the kills, and a lot of people don't really understand. You'll see this in pub games. Players will get kills, and then they'll go back to farming. Good teams don't do that. They get kills, they turn them into towers, they turn them into aggressive wards, they turn them into map control. They'll farm the enemy jungle on the way out. Just essentially milk every last possible cent, every last possible level out of those advantages, or out of those kills, and really take advantage of the situation. Lei getting close to a Blink Dagger, and it looks like Ninja Boogie is getting an Aegis up soon. I hope he's very happy about that. You mentioned the DPS. I was thinking Ethereal Blade would be great here, but he's actually opting for a Yasha, which will be a little bit of a safer choice if a BKB is up on the anti-mage. That's not going to matter. He'll still hit hard. He'll still have that extra move speed, which is nice for either chasing or running away from AM. Looks like a huge fight breaks out here, and Duskbin ult is channeled by Lei. What an epicenter! Completely demolishing 2 heroes. Anti-mage forced to blink away. WE just too late to the fight. Queen of Pain picks up the Nature's Prophet as he runs away. Down goes the Vengeful Spear. Another 4-kill advantage going the way of Duskbin. This game seems to be spiraling quickly out of control for WE. Anti-mage with a Battle Fury will not outcarry if his team continues to feed like this.
Exactly. Anti-Mage cannot do it alone. I mean, when it comes down to an Anti-Mage versus Morphling game, and I've seen a few with some of these Chinese teams, it never comes down to who's more farmed. But basically, both heroes will generally get farmed. Both heroes will do well. It always comes down to the supporting cast, who has the better backup, which teams support heroes get the mech and pipe, get those useful items like sheep sticks. And we are going to see Queen of Pain with a sheep stick up. And this is just looking to get a bit ugly for World Elite here. They're still definitely in this game, but it's one of those things. About 10 minutes ago, they were the ones in control. It has turned around quickly.
Wow, that is such a fast sheepstick, especially because if you look at Blah Blah, he's been very active this game, 6-1-3. This is not a Quap who's solely farming. He has managed to find a good amount of farm. If he was purely farming, like we saw I think it was the King playing the Queen of Pain for Aeon in the last game, you'd probably be up around 150, maybe even 200 CS if there's those Broodmother Spiderlings to farm. But this Quap is doing what you need to do against an anti-mage and a Prophet who rushes a Midas, which is be aggressive, assist your team in kills. You have to understand the intricacies of the lineups you're up against, not just play the hero wave single way. Initiation onto Shadow Shaman here. They want to make it go, and it looks like he will be going down. Queen of Pain deep blink in enemy territory. Oh, will hit. Great play here. This Queen of Pain all over the place. Hex to follow, and Chan defensive swap out on the Queen of Pain. Burst strike back in onto Chan. They are not done. You cannot run away from Duskbin. BKB still up on the Morphling. He hasn't used it yet. He is going to get the AA. He goes back in on the anti-mage who is shackled up, forced to blink out. 3 heroes dead. This is going to be a tier 2 and possibly more, and Nature's Prophet can do nothing during this time but farm.
Oh yeah, and I mean, they had to go back and get that tier 2. Right now, they're just clearing out these creeps in the base. Let's get this tier 2 tower. No, your creep wave is behind you. But Morphling, this Yasha, this is giving him some right-click damage. I like this build. I think the Ethereal Blade gives him some huge nuking capabilities, but he's got the DPS he needs. The Sand King with the Blink Epicenter, the Windrunner nukes, the Queen of Pain and Line, they can clean up heroes. Morphling just needs to right-click away, and that's what he's doing well at. And the BKB gives him all the survivability he needs. I think this is a smart build coming up from Ninja Boogie, and he's really playing well. As right now, World Elite need to start doing some soul searching, need to find some answers, as they are at risk of dropping down to the loser brackets here.
And that is definitely not a place you want to be, as one more loss in a best out of 3 will end your chances. Of course, it's not over yet, and Anti-Mage is continuing to get whatever farm he can. Speaking of that Anti-Mage, he's getting close to a Yasha. It's a start, but until he gets the Mantle Style, and I still think he needs at least a Vitality booster, ideally a BKB. You mentioned the Heart, but of course that's a very ambitious plan the way this game is going, as Duskbin looks to claim the high ground here. Oh, a lot of ults going off. It looks like everyone is dropping. Anti-Mage not able to blink out. 3 kills going the way of Duskbin. Ancient Apparition on the retreat out. Burrow Strike through from the Sand Cave. Diving basically to the enemy fountain. They get 4 kills. That may be game. 1 set of Rex will be claimed. An Anti-Mage of Duskbins is helping to assist in the push here. With this, they can easily transition into a push mid. They may not be able to kill it, but they should be able to do a little bit of damage to the tower if they would like to. Anti-Mage not up for a while here. What a play by Duskbin. The Sand King, such great Burrow Strikes this game, and in spite of how hard the Lion fed, this is why he's a strong support hero in the mid to late game. Because he has such fantastic disables. And when he doesn't have to initiate, it's okay to be squishy. Duskbin, or excuse me, WE doesn't have anyone who can really dive behind enemy lines and instantly knock them down. Anti-Mage can't afford to go in like that. And so he's able to just, follow up on his team and provide that 4-second hex, as well as that AoE stun. Really nice play by Duskbin, and this is probably a good time for Lion to back.
World Elite right now just do not have the initiation they need. They're relying on having AA and Prophet throw their ultimates to initiate, sort of to force their opponents to go on the back foot. But if they don't latch on, or if they throw them and Duskbin sort of back off in time and avoid any follow-up damage, then suddenly there's nothing World Elite can do to fight. They haven't got anything like the Sand King to initiate in with. They haven't got even like a Windrunner Shackle Shot, a Clean Pain to go blinking in to start things up. All they've got is this Anti-Mage who, if he blinks in, he'll get focused down instantly. There's no other initiation possible for them.
Godz, look at the Queen of Pain right now. He just picked up a very interesting item.
Oh, I don't mind that. Look what he's up against. I mean, Shadow Shaman, Ancient Apparition, VS, Prophet. These are sort of relatively squishy intel heroes. I think Dagon is a decent item choice. Yeah,
I love the choice, and especially the Shadow Shaman. It's so squishy, and Shadow Shaman is a hero that generally has to stand in the line of fire, especially if he wants to drop that Shackles. And you just can't do that against the burst damage. As soon as I look away, Prophet goes down. 0-7. Who cares if you have a Midas? If you die this much, the Midas is not going to make up for your feeding. And of course, we see the Prophet nowhere near any sort of item. 3,200 gold in the bank. He can buy back, but to what end? Nobody is afraid of a Prophet with a medallion at this stage of the game. I mean, there's no item progression because Duskbin continue to use the fact that they've gotten these early towers. I mean, just look at the wards. They have wards in the enemy base, they have wards in the lane, they have wards covering the enemy ancients. Wards everywhere. You start off with those kills, you turn it into map control, you turn it into Rex towers, and then you sort of layer the cement of the wards over that, that foundation of brick, and it just makes an impenetrable advantage. Or so it seems at the moment. Anti-Mage did pick up the Asha, 1,400 gold in the bag, so he's finding some farm. But Duskbin threatening to take another set of Rex here on the bottom lane. Double damage rune and Mantis Style on the Morphle, as well as 1,300 gold. This guy's gonna hurt.
Yeah. And for me, this was just about Duskbin. They really just took this game to World Elite. They didn't sit back. I mean, Morphle getting solo kills on Prophet. That just shows, I mean, World Elite were not ready for their aggression. Even on these, coming from heroes like Morphling, who in general is a sort of hero you want to get farm on. You don't want to necessarily sort of try and get kills in a solo lane, but they got kills there. Sand King rotated around. They were just getting kills and just playing so aggressive. And it's just really catching World Elite by surprise, I feel.
Yeah, World Elite really seems bewildered this entire series. Initiation onto the Vengeful Spirit. There's the Dagon. No magic missile. That's just the Vengeful Spirit who did nothing but provide gold. into the coffers of Duskbin. The Hex will bring down Chan. Actually, an amazing A ult, hitting 3 heroes, or that might have even been 4 heroes, but it just doesn't matter. The 2 kills are what they need. The anti-mage illusion replicate will be assisting in the push, and look how fast that tower melts. Windrunner with an ultimate orb as well. GG is called. This was by far the most one-sided game I think we've passed today. 30 minutes was the time, but I mean, after the first 10 minutes, it was all Duskbin all the way. Well, aside from those Mineski games.
I'd say even a good 50, or it would have been about a good 10-15 minutes where I felt this game was even. I actually felt World Elite was slightly better off. They weren't winning, but they had the better sort of progression with their heroes. They were looking to stage to get a good late game, but it was just Duskbin just suddenly turned it on. I mean, I feel once Duskbin turned it on, the game became very one-sided, but up until then, it wasn't that one-sided compared to such as the Mineski Mythtrust games. Like those games, pretty much from start to finish, you can tell Mythtrust were in a much better position.
So the Great Pinoy hopes, if I dare to call them as such. Of course, Duskbin is not entirely Pinoy, but they do have a couple players from that country. A lot of Pinoys like to consider them a team from their own land. Whatever region they're from, I mean, Duskbin, the only team that features Pinoys to actually win their first match here, out of 3. So if you're a Pinoy fan, you have to be pretty pleased about that. Of course, I'm sure. I believe you said they have some Singaporeans as well, so the Singaporeans will probably be happy too. Along with Aeon advancing, they have a lot to be thankful for, as well as Edith, of course.
And you know who else can be happy? All the Hon pros.
Yeah, they finally have a team
full of
making
Hon
it.
pros.
Yeah, it is.
This qualifier, I mean, from Duskbin to Mineski, I mean, there's a couple Hon pros teams. I mean, all these guys used to play for Dota. The Filipino guys, they used to play Hon for Duskbin, and the Singaporean guys were in one of the top Singaporean Hon teams. So they're coming over to Dota 2 and having some great results.
Yeah, and Duskbin, who do they match up against tomorrow? That's actually what I'm wondering as we start to see.
It was against the winner of that match we just saw, so they're up against Aeon. So Aeon versus Duskbin, a rematch they versed each other a couple times. Duskbin won when they versed each other on LAN 2-0. Aeon have won since then when they win each other. You mentioned this before we started, when we were preparing a bit. They went 1-1 in the Pro Dota 2 tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess the overall it's 3-1 in favor of Duskbin almost. I want to say.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in that Evo tour in the LAN tournament they picked into some pretty hard carries, right? Like the Morphling. Yeah. I think Morphling you said was the signature hero in that series, and they just dominated with them. You could see just how strong Ninja Boogie's Morphling is. Well, that's gonna do it for this series, guys. Duskbin takes a 2-0, a very convincing win over WE that frankly looked a little bit bewildered. Whether it was the very long LAN tournament they had before this match, whatever the case may be, they drop it and they don't look very strong doing so, but it's less WE looking bad and more Duskbin just looking really solid. A convincing win here in Game 2 after a very long and grueling Game number 1. That is our last best out of 3 for the East qualifiers for today. Tomorrow we will be seeing Duskbin face off against Aeon, and just to finish up on what we were discussing, in the 2 games I cast, which are for the Pro Dota 2 League, and I believe this was a couple of days ago, the VODs are up on my channel, which is twitch.tv/LDDota or youtube.com/LDDota. So you can check those out. The first game, what we saw was Aeon Duskbin gave away a Lycan, as well as some other pushers. It might have been a Leshrac, something like that. And they just lost, Duskbin lost all of their towers. I mean, the game was pretty much over by 10 minutes in. And I doubt we're going to see Duskbin give away that Lycan again. Without the hard push, I mean, Aeon